everybody, it's Edie and welcome to Mixed Mediology Monday. This is my first tutorial coming to you from my brand new studio in Sigonella, Sicily. I finally have my studio all arranged and organized and clean and unpacked, and I'm so happy to finally be able to get back to making art and having all of my supplies. I can't even tell you how happy I am. So there are two new videos that you may want to check out. One is the unpacking of the studio, and the second is the final unveiling of the freshly unpacked and organized brand new studio. It's a new studio tour. So those are both now available. And now I'm here making tutorials. I'm so excited. It's been so long. Man, and I'll tell you, I completely messed up the first tutorial because I'm so out of practice. I completely screwed it up. But whatever, I figured it out and fixed it. So, I found this, they're not new, but they're new to me. So I just discovered artist trading blocks. And if you're not sure what an artist trading block is, it's basically an ATC in 3D format. So instead of having a flat little 2.5 by 3.5 trading card, you make a cube, a 3D cube, and you trade the cubes. So I'm really interested in these artist trading blocks, and I want to start making them. And I was looking up, how to make them, and there were no tutorials on how to make them. There were tutorials on how to decorate them, but you don't need a tutorial for that. It's nice to watch. They're great to watch. I love watching them, and I'll probably do a tutorial on decorating them, but I need to know how to build one. So I did some research and I discovered that there is a Sizzix die for the cubes. I'll post a link to the die that it is down below, but it's by Sizzix, and it's a 3D die or some 3D cube or something like that. Anyway, but there were no templates. Okay, so I live in Italy. I can't just run to Michael's and find a die, and if I order a die, it's gonna take it like a month to get here. I don't have time for all that, and I don't like investing in dies if it's not something that I'm gonna use quite frequently. And I also don't like investing in dies if it's something that I can cut by hand. Like, I would never invest in a die for squares, ever. And this is a rectangle. I would never invest in a die for a rectangle. It's just, I just won't do it. It seems pointless to me. Ooh, phone, excuse me. Anyway, yeah, so it just seems pointless to me to buy a die for something that I could easily cut by hand or create my own template for. So, I looked at the Sizzix die, and it's really not that complicated. It's two rectangular strips. So I was looking at it and did some math in my head and figured it all out, and I made my own template for the artist trading block. So that's what the tutorial is for today. It's how to make your own artist trading block without a die. This is how to cut, how to measure, draw, score, cut, and create your own without a die. So I'm really excited about this, and I want to start trading these. Like, I want to do the artist trading block thing. So as you know, I have the Mixed Mediology Swaps and Challenges group on Facebook, and now that I'm settled back in my studio, I can actually participate in swaps, and I can function and think clearly enough to post a swap and host one. So I have started the swaps again in the Mixed Mediology Swaps group on Facebook. There's a link down below in the description if you would like to join and participate. And I think the next swap I'm going to do is going to be these artist trading blocks, but I'm probably going to do a swap where they're able to be shipped flat, because shipping a cube that could get crushed is not going to be cheap, and it's not very smart. I mean, not just for a swap. I mean, if you're making them to send to someone, obviously you're going to package it and keep it nice and safe. But for a swap, nobody wants to invest a whole lot of money in shipping. We all want to keep the shipping cost as low as possible. So I'm going to create a swap for the artist trading blocks where the cube will actually be assembled once it's received. So that is the next swap that I'm going to post. There's a swap going on right now. Sign-ups close on August 1st. It's for an ATC swap, and the theme is travel. Pretty much anything goes. It could be, you know, suitcases, it could be a favorite place, it could be stamps, it could be, you know, passport, anything that you can think of that has to do with travel. It's just anything goes on the ATC swap. So come on over and join the Mixed Mediology Swaps and Challenges group on Facebook and play along. Man, I think that's it. So that's what the tutorial is about today. Remember, if you have any questions about what I did, please post it in the comment section below and I will answer you as soon as I can. If you would like to see me do a tutorial on anything in particular, also leave that in the comment section below. And I'm starting a running list of the tutorials that I want to do. So if you want me to do something, then comment and let me know so that I can put it on my list. All right, so come on down to my desk and I will show you how to make the artist trading block. Here we go. All right, to make the template for your artist trading cube, you need some fairly sturdy paper. You don't want to use scrapbook paper, printer paper, sheet music, any of that to create your cube. You can cover your cube in those things, but your actual cube needs to be of something a little bit more sturdy, like watercolor paper, cardstock, chipboard, you know, poster board, something that's gonna stand up and give you a little bit of firmness once you create the cube. So you can create these artist trading cubes any size you want them to be. You can have your finished cube be 1 inch square, it can be 2 inch square, 2.5 inch square, 6 inch square. Like, the size is limitless once I give you the formula here, as long as your paper is large enough. You just need to make sure that your paper or your poster board or whatever it is that you're cutting your template out of will accommodate. Okay, so how do you figure out what size you need your template to be? First of all, you need to figure out what size you want your finished cube to be, and then you go from there. So, for example, if I wanted to create a 2 inch square cube, you would measure 2 inches up, then you would multiply 2 times 3 because you need 3 squares for each side of your template. So you have six squares total to make a cube. So you have 2 inches up, then 2 times 3 is 6. So you would come 6 inches over, and then you need an additional 1/2 inch of length for your tabs on each end. So it would be 6.5. So to create a 2 inch square cube, you would measure 2 by 6.5, and you would cut 2 pieces that size. For our cube, we're going to be making a 2.5 inch square, or a 2.5 inch cube. So I'm going to measure 2.5 inches up. Two and a half inches up. Then I multiply 2.5 by 3, which is 7.5. And I need an additional 1/2 inch for my tabs, which makes it 8. So my measurement is 2.5 by 8. If this was a 2 inch cube, it would be 2 by 6.5. If it was a 1 inch cube, it would be 1 by 3.5. So you just take your finished cube size, that's going to be your height, then you multiply it by 3 and add 1/2 inch. Now, if you're making a really small cube, you wouldn't need a 1/2 inch, and you'll see where that 1/2 inch comes in at the end, so you would be able to gauge how much to add to the end of your measurement. But you need at least 3 times that amount plus enough for a little tab on each end. Now let's start marking out our score lines. So you want to come in, you want to have a 1/4 of an inch tab on each end of your template. So you want to come in 1/4 of an inch and mark right there. And then from that point, because our cube is 2.5 inches square finished, you're going to measure 2.5 inches and mark it. And then come another 2.5 inches and mark. And then another 2.5 inches and mark. And you can see, let me zoom in. So you can see this is the end of my paper. This is my initial 8-inch measurement, right there. This is my first 1/4 of an inch measurement for my tab. And then I've got marks at each 2.5 inch interval for my score lines. Now I want to mark my score lines. So I'm working on what's going to be the inside of my cube. So this is going to be the outside, this is going to be the inside. So what I want to do is just mark my score lines. And I'm cutting 2, so I'm going to make my lines really long. There we go. Now, since I'm cutting 2 of the exact same thing, I need to account for that. So my first line here, this is my 2.5 inch mark for my cube. Oops. Right here. And then I need to come over an additional 2.5 inches because I'm cutting 2 and mark it right there. So these are going to be my cut lines. And you could cut it first and score it after if you're more comfortable with that. I'm okay with drawing all my lines now. Okay. Now that you have your lines all drawn out, it's time to cut out your template. So this is my initial measurements. So this is my 8 inches long, and I need 2 pieces. So I have 1, 2 templates drawn. So now I'm going to come down here and cut at my farthest line, which is my 8-inch measurement. And now I'm going to come over here and cut the end of my second template piece out. And now I'm going to cut right through the center, which will give me my 2 pieces. So now you can see I have 2 pieces with my score lines already marked. Now you just want to score on each of your lines. And all the scoring does really is break down the fibers of the paper a little bit to make your folding easier. You don't have to score if you think you can fold it without any assistance. I need all the help I can get, so I score whenever I can. That didn't come out right. You know what I mean. And you can see I don't have a bunch of fancy tools. I don't even have a bone folder. I'm just using 2 rulers. Okay, so I have my 2 template pieces cut, marked, and scored. So you'll see I have my 2-inch squares here, and then I have little tabs on each end. So now would be the point where you decorate the outside of your cube, at least the beginning stages of it. If you're going to paint it, if you're going to put washi tape on it, if you're going to stencil it, if you're going to sticker it, whatever you're going to do, this is the time you want to do all of that. Now, keep in mind that you're going to be needing 2-inch squares, so you may want to draw some faint lines. You may want to go back and draw these exact lines, so come your 1/4 of an inch in, and then do your 2.5-inch squares. Draw some really faint lines here just so you can keep your decorations and your paints or whatever you're doing right inside those lines, but that it will be covered and you won't see those lines. If you're worried that you won't be able to find those lines, you can always use this as the outside where you've drawn and scored your cube. You can create on the outside there. It doesn't matter. I was just going to do it on the other side so you wouldn't see those lines. But actually, I mean, this is where it folds. So you're probably not going to see those lines anyway, especially once you get paint and tape and stickers and, you know, ink and all that stuff on there. So it's really not a big deal. It's totally up to you. As a matter of fact, I would probably actually work on this side now so that I could keep my lines nice and straight. Alright, so let's just say for the sake of the tutorial that I have completely decorated the initial parts of my cube, and now I need to build it so that I can put my embellishments on. So we'll just say that that's where I'm at with this right now. So my cube is already scored. Now you just want to take and fold your cube, and if you've already got a bunch of stuff on the outside, if it's already decorated, you're probably not going to want to fold and create a crease on the outside. So you'll want to fold in so that the plain side, the inside of your cube, is out, and create your crease on the inside of your cube. That way you just don't mess up any decorations or paint or, you know, whatever you have happening on the outside there. You don't want to mess up your hard work. So you just want to create your crease, you know, fold it towards the outsides together. And here on the end, you just want to be careful because it is such a small little tab. You just want to make sure that you're right on that line before you create the crease. Did I not score this one? Oh yeah, I did. Okay. I mean, you don't have to score it. Just makes your folding a lot easier. It's a lot faster and smoother, and you get nice sharp creases when you do it this way, when you score it. You don't have to worry about the paper breaking down in the wrong spot or getting the fold crooked. It just goes really quickly. And again, I'm just using a ruler. I don't have a bone folder or any other sort of, you know, specific tools for any of this. Okay. So now I've got my creases, but they're all coming to where my decorations would be on the inside. But it's really simple. You just fold it the other way and give it a good fold. Same with your little tabs. You can fold them in and recrease it with your fingers. Once you've created that initial crease, it's easy to bend it back the opposite way and still get a nice sharp crease. There we go. So we have our two decorated pieces. Now it's time to actually build our box and put our cube together. So you'll have two pieces, and each of those pieces have the little tab at the end. So what you want to do is find your center square on one of your cube pieces and the very end tab of the opposite cube piece. So you'll be creating like a little T. And you can use double-sided tape, you can use regular glue. I'm just using a glue stick because it'll dry quickly just for the sake of the tutorial. I would not use a glue stick if I was making this as a real cube. I would use regular glue probably. Oops. Double-sided tape would actually work really well too. Okay, so you can see I've got the little tab glued to the center square. Oh. I hate glue sticks. Oh my god. Oh god. I fucking hate glue sticks. You know what? I'm using tape. Alright, let's try this again now. So I'm just going to use some double-sided tape because I hate glue sticks. Okay, now I've got my two pieces attached. Okay, so it looks like a T. So now what you're going to do is fold your cube around. Take your little tab here, put your glue or your double stick tape, double-sided tape rather. And it's only going to fit in one spot, and it's going to be on the opposite side of the center square. You just line it up right with the edge. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Now you're going to do the same thing with these two flaps. So you're going to add your double-sided tape to your tab here, to your tab here, and you're going to fold them up inside your cube and stick them down. So I have my half cube done here with my two little flaps. I'm going to fold this up. Line it up. Stick it down. Same thing on this side. Push it into place. Oops. This one is kind of hard to get it to stick. just because there's nowhere for you to press really. But if you kind of like stick your finger inside a little bit on each side, you can stick it down. There we go. And now I have my artist trading cube. Now you can see that the sides kind of poke a little bit. You could easily fix that with some washi tape. You could just stick some tape right there over the corners. You could try to glue it. Don't really know how glue would work. Or if you're covering this with paper, you could bring your paper over the sides just to close in those little gaps just a little bit. You could also alter your template just a little bit. It would require a bit more work, and you'd have to cut them out one at a time, but you could create little tabs on the outsides here that stuck out a little bit to then glue down into the other half, which you know, I think I may do that next time. It would be on the you would only need to do it probably on one half of your template. So if you've got two halves of a template like this and your cube is bulging like so, it would just be on the top and bottom of one half. You would need a little tab to stick out like so on both sides, at the top and at the bottom. So you could shift your template, and these would be 1/4 inch. Whoops. 1/4 inch tabs. So if you don't like that little gap right there, or if you're not planning to put tape or cover it with paper, if that little gap would be seen, it would be a really simple fix. So you would cut one at 2.5 by 8. Whoops. And then you would cut the second side at 3 by 8. And you could actually leave that. You could just fold this whole little tab down, and it would tuck inside. No, maybe not. You would have to cut right there off. Yeah, you would cut it 3 by 8, and then just cut the little notch out of the center. And then you would have tabs there that you would fold in here and here, and then here and here. Or you could do, you could even do it like this. I know I'm giving you a lot of options here, but I'm just thinking of this now, so, because I didn't realize that that was going to be an issue. So you could cut them like this. So it would be, so you would cut it 3 inches across by 8 inches long, and then here you would come in 1/4 inch on each side and cut the little strips out. You could do that too, and that would just give you something to lock into place here. So there you have it. There is your art cube, your artist trading cube tutorial. Artist trading cubes without a Sizzix die. These are hand cut, and it didn't really take that long, you know. And I'm making it take a lot longer because I'm talking you through the tutorial. Like seriously, these would take like 2 minutes to draw out your lines, a couple minutes to cut them out and score it, and then decorate to your heart's content, and then the very last touches are just putting your block together. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. There you go. Easy peasy, right? Like, it's so simple. I actually made it more complicated than it needed to be the first time I made one, and I screwed it up. So they are so simple. It's really 2 rectangles with little tabs on the end. You score it, you fold it, you stick it together, you got a cube. It's not complicated. And you know, like I was saying before with the little gaps here, you could easily just put some washi tape over that. Actually, if you put washi tape over it first, then you paint over it, it's not even seen if you wanted it to blend in. Or you could use that as embellishment. Use your washi tape or something like that as embellishment. Or paper. Again, scrapbook paper would be great to cover this with. But I really don't think that creating the tabs would be that difficult to create the tabs to glue it here on the sides. I'm gonna try one of those and see how it goes. And if it works, then I will do another quick tutorial showing you how to make the little tabs for the center of the block. Just remember, this is the size that you want to keep in mind. This is a 2.5-inch square block. So whatever size you want your finished block to be, that's what your first measurement needs to be. So 2.5 by 3 times that long. Or, you know, finished block size, 2.5 times 3, because you need 3 squares to create half of the cube. I hope that makes sense. You saw it on the video, like you saw it's 3 squares, right? Okay, so yeah, figure out your first measurement, multiply it by 3, add a 1/2 inch for your little tabs on the end. And then remember, the tabs go at each end. They're 1/4 inch coming in both ways, and then you do your measurement again. Now, once your blocks get really tiny, like if you're doing 1-inch square, like inchy blocks, there's no way you're gonna be able to do a 1/2 inch tab. It's gonna be like 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch. And you really just have to play with it at that point. But it's not difficult. Make it a 1/2 inch, then trim it down if you need to. I mean, it's really, really simple. It's pretty much foolproof. It's 2 strips and you glue them together. All right, I think that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. I hope it saves you some money because now you don't have to go out and buy a Sizzix die. You can make the artist trading blocks on your own. Remember, if you want to participate in swaps and hang out with me on Facebook, you can always find me at the Mixed Mediology Swaps and Challenges group. You can also find me on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, pretty much everywhere. Like Google me. I'm easy to find. If you like what I do here, don't forget to subscribe. That way you don't miss all the cool new projects that I have coming out, see all the crazy antics, and get to hang out with me on a regular basis. Then share it with your friends so they can hang out with us too. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to be back. Yay! In my brand new big ass studio. Oh gosh, I'm so happy. And I'm loving it here in Siganilla, in case I didn't tell you that earlier. I love it here. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.